So, let's be real for a sec. I think we've all been there. You set up this big combat, you got minis on the table, and guess what it turns into? A slog. Slog, slog, slog. That was weird. Your fighter is tired of missing and is just at this point saying, I hit it with my sword. I do 8 damage. Roll, repeat, roll, repeat, roll, repeat. Until eventually someone's hit points bottom out. It can honestly feel like the least interesting part of a session. What if I told you it didn't have to be like this? What if every single fight could be a cinematic, story-driven event that your players are going to be talking about for weeks? What if you could get past that slow and repetitive grind and get to something legendary? The secret isn't memorizing more rules. There's already plenty to keep up with. It's about changing your mindset. And today I'm going to share 4 secrets that are going to change how you run combat forever and take you from a rule keeper to a cinema maker. Buckle up, it's going to be fun. Coming in hot, I'm Sir Bearsworth, guiding creators, shaping worlds, and forging heroes. And our first secret, and this is one that a lot of us often overlook in the grand scheme of things. The battlefield is your deadliest weapon. A boring open field is a missed opportunity. The trap so many of us fall into, especially when we're just starting out, is combat just finds its way into becoming static or transactional. The fighter stands here, the orc stands here, and they just start trading blows back and forth. At that point, you're just smacking action figures together. It's functional, but when you have people devoting several hours of their week to you, you need to spice it up a little bit. Let's get the blood pumping. The secret is to start treating the environment as if it's a secret participant within the battle itself. Think of it as another character at the table, one that you have total control over. The goal here is to force movement and make your players think tactically. Start thinking about your maps in 3 key aspects: elevation, cover, and hazards. Imagine this. Instead of meeting bandits out on the open road, the party gets ambushed in a narrow canyon. But the bandits aren't on the ground with them. They are 30 feet up, perched up on the cliff sides. Suddenly, the party's barbarian or frontline fighter who usually dismantles your encounters is kinda out of luck. And now this leaves the casters just getting peppered by arrows. The terrain has completely flipped the script on the party. Now, the players have to make some interesting choices. Do they scramble up the rocky cliffside to get into melee range? Do you guys try and go find some cover to get out of the line of fire? Does the wizard start triggering a rock slide with one of his spells? That's the power of elevation and cover. A simple pillar or a overturned cart isn't just part of the scenery. It's a tactical tool. It breaks line of sight and forces people to reposition. A monster that attacks and then ducks behind full cover is going to be infinitely more frustrating and more difficult for your party to handle, and more memorable. And then you got hazards, and this is where you can really get creative with it. Maybe the fight is happening in a room that's slowly filling with water, or on a burning ship as fire spreads each round, creating new walls of flame. Even something as simple as a muddy bog or a patch of thorns can completely wreck a party's perfect plan. A bad guy could use a spell like spike growth, while his buddies with bows start picking off the party as they're slowed moving through that area. When you design your battle maps with these things in mind, places to hide, heights to gain, and dangers to avoid, you stop running slugfests and start running exciting tactical puzzles that force your players to think beyond their character sheets. This leads us right into our second secret, because how those monsters use the environment is just as important as the environment itself. Put plainly, the secret is this: your monsters want to win and they want to survive. They are not just mindless bags of hit points waiting to get popped. One of the biggest pitfalls you can run into is running every monster like it has the same brain. A zombie? Sure, it'll probably just shamble towards whatever's making the most noise. But a hobgoblin commander, a pack of wolves, A dragon? They should be fighting smart. That monster's intelligence score in their stat block is your perfect guide to figure out what sort of tactics that they can use. Even creatures with lower intelligence, like wolves, use their instincts and use pack tactics to their advantage. So what does fighting smarter actually look like? Well, it starts with self-preservation. Not every fight has to be to the death. In fact, most of them probably shouldn't be. Hot take, I'm sure. When a group of intelligent monsters realize that they're losing, they should try to run, regroup, or even surrender. It makes the world feel so much more real and not like a video game. Next, think about tactics. Smart monsters use the battlefield. They use cover. A dragon isn't just gonna land into the middle of the party and let the barbarian and the paladin wail on them. It's gonna use its flight to stay airborne, strafing the party with its breath weapon, and making those melee characters as least effective as it possibly can. Goblins are perfect for their hit and run tactics because they can use disengage as a bonus action. Or they can pop out from behind a rock, shoot an arrow, dip back behind it, and use hide as a bonus action. This just makes them incredibly hard to pin down. Smart monsters also prioritize their targets. They know that a wizard slinging spells is trouble, and they're gonna work to shut that down fast. They'll try and focus fire on what they perceive to be the biggest threat. They might try shoving the heavily armored fighter into a pit, or grappling the rogue so they can't keep darting around the place. Imagine a group of bugbears ambushing the party. The first one throws a net over the wizard and the others get advantage while they wail on him. This immediately takes the biggest threat out in the first round. The second you start playing monsters with a brain in their head and a will to live, they become way more terrifying, but victory against them becomes so much more satisfying. By the way, if you're finding these tips helpful and you just want to be on top of leveling up your D&D game, take a second and hit that subscribe button. We're building a wonderful community here of game masters who just want to all get better, tell better stories, and I'd love for you to be a part of it. Alright, our third secret moves on from the mechanics of a fight and into the story itself. And the secret is that why combat is happening is almost always more important than the what. Combat for the sake of combat gets old fast. If every single fight is just kill the monsters in this room, your players are going to get bored eventually. The main issue is those fights don't have a purpose. They don't connect to a bigger story. To make a combat truly legendary, there's gotta be some stakes involved. The fight shouldn't be about getting to 0 hit points, there should be some sort of goal involved. So instead of kill the cultists, what if it was stop the ritual before they summon a demon? Suddenly, it doesn't matter how many cultists you kill if that portal opens up anyway. That one simple shift changes everything. It's not a death match anymore, it's a race against time. Now the players have to make some hard choices. Does the fighter hold off the guards while the rogue makes a dash for the altar? Does the wizard use their big AoE spell on the minions, or do they try and disrupt the ritual itself? Here are a few other objectives you can steal and use for your next encounter. Protecting a vulnerable NPC, grabbing a key item in the middle of the fight, escaping from a overwhelming force, or just survive a certain number of rounds before reinforcements show up. These goals create instant tension and makes each player's actions on their turn have some real weight to it. And as the cherry on top of it all, the outcome of a fight needs to have some consequences. What happens if they succeed? What happens if they fail? What if they only partially succeeded? Maybe they stop the ritual, but the head cultist gets away, vowing revenge on the party. Maybe they grab the artifact, but by grabbing it, it triggered a trap and suddenly the whole dungeon is slowly collapsing around them. These consequences make the combat feel like a pivotal moment, not just some random encounter. When the why is clear and the stakes are high, every single dice roll feels important. Our final secret is one that brings it all together into a secret sauce, if you will. You've got a dynamic map, you've got monsters fighting smart, and you've got high-stakes story goals. Our final ingredient to make this encounter unforgettable is gonna be synergy. So often, we build an encounter just around one big bad monster, and then we wonder why the players end up steamrolling it. And at the end of the day, it usually comes down to action economy. One monster gets overwhelmed by 4 or 5 players very easily. The secret is to stop thinking of singular particular monsters and instead build an encounter team. Pick creatures whose abilities work together and benefit from each other on the battlefield. You have to think like a villainous mastermind. Don't just throw random monsters in a room, give them a theme or a plan. For example, instead of using a few orcs, integrate a creature with them that's going to complement their more aggressive fighting style. Maybe these orcs have a pet giant spider who webs up the players. Now your 2 orc warriors can rush in there and just start beating down on whoever gets restrained. You just combined a controller with some strikers, and now you have a pretty competent team. Let's jump back to the spike growth example. One caster with that spell is already annoying. But what if you combine them with a couple of ranged skirmishers that can stay out of that area, and a big brute whose whole job is to try and keep the party in that zone? Now you have a pretty cohesive unit utilizing this strategy. This is how you balance encounters beyond just looking at the challenge rating. CR is a decent guideline, but it's not perfect. It doesn't account for the party's magic items, or more importantly, their synergy. An encounter with 3 CR1 monsters can be infinitely more deadly than an encounter with 1 CR3. Trust me, the math is mathing. When you build your fights, look for creatures that fit different roles. Frontline tanks, ranged attackers, spellcasters who can debuff the party, and mobile skirmishers. A mix of 2 or 3 of these different types is usually the sweet spot, without being too much to manage. When you combine a dynamic battlefield with monsters that have a plan, and then build those monsters into a synergistic team, you create encounters that challenge your players on every single level. Now they can't just spam their favorite attacks, they have to adapt, think, and work together. 4 secrets to completely transform your D&D combat. 1. Treat your battlefield as your most deadly weapon. Use elevation, cover, hazards to force some tactical thinking. 2. Make your monsters fight smart. Give them a will to live and a brain that matches their intelligence. 3. Focus on the why. Ditch the death matches and focus on something that betters and furthers the story. And 4. Use synergy as your secret sauce. Build monster teams that work together as a full unit. These aren't complicated new rules that you have to memorize. They're just little shifts in your mindset, little tools in your tool belt. They're about moving from just running monsters to orchestrating encounters. When you start bringing these secrets into your game, you'll find combat becomes faster, way more engaging, and a hell of a lot more memorable. Your players will stop seeing combat as a chore. They'll talk for weeks about how they barely escaped the collapsing temple, or how they outsmarted that goblin ambush in the canyon. And that is what's going to make you a legendary dungeon master. Now, I want to hear from you. What are some of your favorite tricks to incorporate into combat? What's a secret little tip that completely changed how you run encounters? Let me know down in the comments below. I love reading what you guys come up with. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. I mean, you made it this far. But that'll be it for me, guys. This has been Sir Bearsworth, guiding creators, shaping worlds, and forging heroes. I'll see you all at the table. Bye.